Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Sun. I'm the chairperson for the SCPGA Associate Mentorship Committee. Today is our, fifth town hall of the year. And with us today, we have two special guests. First one is Lindsay Pizarro. She is a member of Cmaa and CCM, designated, certified. She is the president of the Golden State Chapter, and she will providing a lot of insightful information related to CMAA. Also with us today is Ed Winecki. Obviously, hopefully all of you know who he is. He's been a PGA member over 30 years, and he's a career consultant based out of Southern California. Does incredible work for our professionals. He's also not only PGA a member, but also CCM certified for CMAA. So I think he's going to give us great insights as to the benefits of being a CMAA member along with being a PGA member. So great to have both of you. Thank you for your time today. And thank you, William, Jung, and Rennie for joining us today. Let me just invite two more people into the call. Thank you, John and Tom Addis for joining the call today. So let's just get started with my questions, if I may, starting with Lindsay. Lindsay, let's give you a quick introduction of yourself. You're the general manager of the California Yacht Club in Southern California, and you graduated from San Francisco State and been involved in the hospitality industry for many, many years. If you can provide us some additional background of yourself so we can get to know you a little bit better before we get all the questions going.
You got it. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you for Southern California PGA. It's great. Sure, I'm from Southern California, Orange County. Grew up here. My parents were in the restaurant business. So I was about to go to culinary school, and my dad, being a chef, kind of talked me out of it and, said, are you sure you want to go down that path? Kitchens are hot. Basically. And so I went after high school. I lived in Spain for a year to study Spanish, which is I'm fluent in Spanish now. So one of my prouder moments to learn Spanish and speak it and write it fluently, which has been great and a great experience. I absolutely love Spain. I've been there 4 times and came back, went to San Francisco State and decided to study hotel and restaurant management. And I did my first internship in clubs, a club called Bohemian Club, which is a city club in San Francisco. And so since then I stayed in clubs. I did an internship kind of year round, stayed there as an intern, goodness, 3 years. And then when I graduated, they hired me as club events manager. So I got to work there for about 5.5 years. And my GM at the time recruited me and pulled me over to St. Francis Yacht Club. And so I was able to really grow at St. Francis Yacht Club. So I went from city club to a yacht club, waterside, and moved through the positions of club events manager, director of catering, and assistant general manager in food and beverage. So I was very heavily involved in food and beverage, and that was my comfort zone. And then an opportunity came up to take on a clubhouse manager position at Burlingame Country Club. So then I got to go to the golf side of things and country club side of things, loved it, and started picking up golf lessons and golfing on Mondays. We used to be able to walk the course on Mondays. And I'm kind of a 3-hole, 6-hole, 9-hole golfer. When I do play in tournaments, I'm usually hitting up the beverage carts. I'm that kind of golfer. So I got to work the country club and run different operations there. I still was heavily involved in food and beverage, but I was able to manage the pool operations, more facilities and housekeeping. So that was a great experience for me. The GM left and I was able to be interim GM for 6 months. And I got my taste of being a GM, and then I knew I wanted to be a GM. So I set this goal of GM by 35, which was aggressive. And maybe I shouldn't have set that goal because I was not ready for my first GM job at 35. I took a job down in Southern California, moved here to back to Orange County. And I was the GM of Newport Harbor Yacht Club for about 2.5 years. In that time, I had my first daughter, Penelope. She's now 6. And then, so I was there 2.5 years. It was the centennial year, got us through that year, and was able to demolish the clubhouse. It really needed it, and got the members through that project and set up operations out of a boat. So we had a temporary clubhouse and a boat, which was really fun for the members, really hard on the staff. It was an experience. And then took a GM position at the Country Club of Rancho Bernardo down in San Diego area. You're probably familiar with it. So I was there about 2.5 years too, and had baby number 2, Sophia, and she's now 4. And then an opportunity came up back on the yacht club side of things, and I'm the GM of California Yacht Club. And so I've been here nearly 3 years. I had 3 normal months right before the pandemic took over. And so I've finally seen a full season, what a regular year looks like, because we've had fractions, putting the club back together. And so it's been a great experience being able to work for city clubs, yacht clubs, golf clubs. I'm not a great golfer. I get seasick. Members ask me about sailing or, racing. I have been on in a race. I was on a boat because I needed an extra body, and basically I was able to shift my weight from side to side when they told me when to do that. And I've had to go work on Catalina Island many a times doing cruises for our members, and we would carry over food and beverage and do surf and turf over there for our members, and got seasick along the way, but I'm a trooper, and I love the club industry. And whether it's a yacht club or a golf club or a country club, it's really a different passion for members. That's why they join different clubs. At my club, they're drawn to the water, and so they might not be boaters, but we have rowing, we have pickleball, paddle tennis, we have a pool, and we have a lot of clubs within the club. So we have a sportsman club, a wine group called the Epicurean Society, Art Aficionados. So it's really a lot of different clubs within my club. It's a fascinating club. We're in our centennial year. So that kind of brings me to today. I told you I have 2 little ones. They keep me active and running around. Outside of that, I've started gardening. I love to travel the world. I've seen 13 countries and counting. And I'm busy with the Golden State chapter of Club Management Association of America. That's my pastime and my volunteer area where I volunteer and spend a lot of my time, because I'm at the point where I think I should be giving back to the industry, because it's gotten me to where I'm at today in club management.
Lindsay, that's a great story. What a distinguished career, diverse experiences in all different clubs of our great country.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you this next question, because I think the audience is perhaps not very familiar with CMAA. Can you explain to us what CMAA, what it stands for, number one, and what it is?
Sure,
and the Golden State chapter and your presidency, and so they kind of they can put a maybe understanding relative to the PGA.
Absolutely. So Club Management Association of America. And I'll talk about the few different areas, like what I think the greatest pillars are of this organization. I've been a member since 2002 or 2004. So, I'm going on, 24 years of club management, and I've been a member of this association really since the get-go. But it's really about club connections, networking, education, and developing your skills as a leader. So whatever level that is. And so I'll first talk about the website and the networking. we have this area of our community that's called Club Connect. And so I'll go on and there's different interest groups, whether it's a women's group, a women management, women in club management, whether it's the Yacht Club Roundtable, whether it's about membership. There's different interest groups, and you could ask a question and say, hey, does anybody have a training manual on this? Or what are you doing for your swim operations this summer? And we share ideas and people post it. So it's like, it's an active board that people post, and we get emails, and it's one of the greatest things that I use the website for, or emailing my network. Outside of that, we have a huge national conference, and we have like 2,300 people that attend from all over, not just, California. It's national, and we get international managers to come. And so it's about 5 days long, and you can kind of track plan out your conference, and it's all different competencies. And I'll talk about the competencies, but you could pick your schedule during conference. It's not just one offering per hour, it's multiple. It's like you have 7 different options to go through. And then in the evening, we have different networking opportunities, which is always great to see peers and club managers across the country. We also have business management institutes. There's 6 BMIs. It's BMIs 1 through 5, and then there's BMI International, which I get to go to this year. It's in Scotland. And I get to see St. Andrews, and so I'm excited about that opportunity. And we'll see different clubs in that area. And so you get to go, you can sign up if you're on the path to become a certified club manager, which is CCM. You go through these different education series and conferences to get your credits to be able to take your exam. So let's see. BMIs can be and they're all over the country, which is fun. Like I went to Boston, I went to Cornell for one. We have one in LA, so they move around. And there's one in Michigan, Ann Arbor. So it's a great experience to go to get, really high-end education. It's a week long, and you stay in an area, you get to see different clubs. And like I stayed in Cornell at the hotel there, which was really neat to see and experience Cornell in the fall. And then we have these mid-managers conferences too, 1 a year. So that's for mid-managers of any position. And those move around within the country. And then there's International Wine Society for winos like me that love wine education, or go to different dinners and help, grow your experience in that area and taste through some fine wines. So the competencies area and this path to become a certified club manager, some say it adds $10,000 to your salary if you become a CCM. So that's what they're saying. I think there's 300 CCMs in the country. Ed, you might remember that number. I didn't research before this. Does that sound about right?
It's pretty close to that number. Yeah, I think it's just a teeny bit higher now, but it's pretty close to that.
Yeah. And so you'll see that under, after Ed's name as well. I mean, we worked very hard for that. And the exam covers so many different competencies, being food and beverage, marketing, club governance, finance, membership, facilities management. It talks about golf course maintenance. I'm forgetting some, but so during your whole time with CMAA, you can study all these different competencies, and then you sit for an exam once you get the right amount of credits. And goodness, the exam can take 7 hours, like you take a lunch break, and then you pass, and it's the best feeling ever, right, Ed?
Better than the best feeling ever.
Oh my gosh, I was so nervous going into that exam. It made me nauseous.
It's one of the worst things I've ever done. And I'll talk about that in a minute, Lindsay, but you're right. It's nerve-wracking, it's grueling, but the satisfaction is just overwhelming as well. So,
yeah. And so it's really to help set you up to be a well-rounded leader in this industry. So it's really for anybody at all different levels, not just general managers, controllers go through this. I mean, food and beverage managers, I've seen all different positions really try to get this certified club manager designation, because it means you're well-rounded. You could step into an assistant role very easy. You could, run a club, and it's to give you the foundation to be able to run a club or just to strengthen your skills.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I can talk about our chapter next when you're ready, Tom.
Yeah, that's great, Lindsay. Thank you for that summary. So similar to the PGA, for those in the audience, basically like PGA, you become an associate first, and then you go through the process to educate yourself for a certain period of time with the competencies of teaching, operations, and executive management. And then after you go through that process and you take the test at the end, you become a PGA member. So similar to PGA, CMA has a similar process where, as Lindsay explained, you go through the different competencies, go to the conferences and educate yourself. And I think it's minimum 6 years, right, Lindsay? Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. 6
years, working full-time and going through this process of becoming a certified club manager, CCM. So when you become a CCM, it's like becoming a member of PGA, if I could say it as an analogy. Mm-hmm. And that's what CCM is. You work as a member to become a CCM within the CMAA. And as Lindsay stated, it opens up a lot of doors and ultimately gives you a lot of opportunities to do what you want to do within the industry as a leader. And obviously with that, your compensation will also be well rewarded at the same time. So does that make sense, Lindsay? Is that correct?
Yeah. Ed's got a lot of fancy initials after his name. You worked very hard, Ed.
Yeah, he does. I just wanted to ask you about the locally, like the PGA, we have 41 sections, and CMAA also is structured similarly. And my understanding is Golden State Chapter is the chapter that represents the whole state of California. So it's like combining SCPGA and Northern California PGA into one, and the CMAA calls a section chapter. So we have the Golden State Chapter. And Lindsay, you are the president of the Golden State Chapter. Can you? I
am. I get to be the president this year, which is wonderful.
So congratulations. Can you just explain your passion to be serving on the Golden State Chapter for CMAA?
Yes. So I've been on the board. This is probably my 7th year. So I kind of hit the ground running as a new member. I was very excited. I'm like a sponge. I love all the education, and then did a lot of committee work, and then was nominated to the board and have been on the board, been on the board 7 years, and finally got to sit in the president's seat. And it's such a joy. And I guess all my hard work of being a committee member, board member is paying off, because as president, it's, I get to socialize a little bit more. And I guess I have a lot of speaking roles. That's pretty much my obligation this year. It's being the talking head of the organization, showing up and having fun. So I'm so honored to be a board member, and it has been very rewarding. And I have so many great friendships through all my years involved, whether it's through, club manager friends or vendor partners. I've really built some great relationships, and I'm able to call people when I have a challenge or I'm down with, something that's happened at work. I always have somebody to call and, target a certain person for, if it's about membership or if it's about club governance or whatnot. I can always pick up the phone and call a friend. And we have 600 members in this chapter, through the state of California, which is great. And we have different education areas. So we do education throughout the state. So there's always, and I can go into that if you want me to go there next, Tom, or wait for the question. But there's always something going on, whether it's in person or webinars or conferences.
I'm a CMAA member working on become a CCM. One of the things I really appreciate about CMAA is education. There's so many education opportunities that CMAA provides, especially within the Golden State Chapter. Maybe if you could just summarize all the educational opportunities that you provide, or the chapter provides for its members, and just maybe summarize quickly the process that you have to take to become a CCM, 300 credits and taking the test at the end. So maybe they can have a quick understanding of how you become a CCM designate.
Sure. All right, so you have to have a mix of credits through the national level and industry. You can have other industry credits. So if I went to a PGA education, I could also use those credits, much like you can. I know for PGA, I've had many golf professionals come over and also use some or submit their education credits to PGA. So similar with that. So we have national events you go to, such as conferences, local California state chapter events. We have 2 conferences a year, a spring conference, a fall conference. We have 4 golf tournaments, which are always fun. We have one coming up at Palma Valley. And then we have the Meadow Club up in Northern California. So we have 4 a year. And then we have wine dinners. We have local area networks where we get together as club managers and have lunch or play golf or do an education locally. So we have like a West LA and an East LA one. And, for example, or there's a Roadrunner region one that get together 80 times a year. So a lot of options to get together and network and do education. And then, our conferences this year, we just had one in Sonoma, which was great. It's 70 in attendance. And then we have one coming up in Orange County, October 23rd, 22nd to 24th, I think, in Orange County. And next year it'll be in the spring, around May 22nd over in the desert. So you go to, you're active, you have all these, and then we have our webinars, which you get credit for too, and they're free. And they cover every different competency that we need to learn about in club management. And they're 2 to 4 week series, and they build on each other, whether it's finance, club governance, legislative issues, all that. I see a question in the chat, so we'll get there. Great. And so you build up your credits, and then you could sit for the exam. So it has to be a mix of industry points, outside of club management is fine, and then local credits, and then national credits. And I think it's like 300. Yes. I don't remember exactly. I don't have it.
300. And then you take a test at the end of the completion of 300 credits. It's a very challenging test, and if you pass, you become a CCM. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that, Lindsay. I just wanted to now maybe add a question. Thank you for your patience, Ed. For those who don't know Ed, again, he's a career consultant, works nationally for PGA. He's been a PGA member for over 30 years, has had a distinguished career, literally doing everything imaginable as a PGA member within the golf industry. What's impressive about Ed is that he's a certified PGA professional in all 6 areas of expertise, which is very rare in my understanding. And he's also a certified club manager, CCM, within CMAA. I believe you became a CCM 2 years ago, Ed, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And lastly, another thing that's impressive about Ed is he's the only professional I know who's won the Professional of the Year award for the section of PGA in 2010 and Northern California PGA in 2017. Just a tremendous human being, not only a professional. And I think it'd be great to have some color from Ed, from a PGA member perspective, the benefits of being a CCM or CMAA member and a CCM.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Lindsay. Let me say thank you to you too for all that you do for women leaders in our industry, and having 2 kids and working full time and doing the amazing things you do. And oh, by the way, all the volunteer work you do for the CMAA. No, wait, you get paid for that. No, wait, no, you don't. I think that's a funny misunderstanding how, when you volunteer for the PGA or for the CMAA at any level, it is volunteer work. It's on your own time and mostly on your own dime, but the benefits and the rewards that come from it are overwhelming and lifelong. and we could talk about that all day. But thank you, Lindsay, for all you do. I just want to say,
my pleasure. Thanks, Ed.
Before I get started on a couple of things too. Yeah. So my journey as a Pga professional was I never intended when I first started to become a general manager. That wasn't my initial goal when I was a young assistant professional. As time went on, and it came to be that I was in a position to take on a general manager position, and I did just after I had opened a brand new club. And at that time, I thought, I've always been all about education, always about making myself better on every level. My initial goal, I still may do it at some point in my career, but my initial goal was to be the first Pga professional, CCM with the CMAA, and certified golf course superintendent. And so I'm still working on some things. I also, again, the more I educate myself, the better off I'm going to be, because it's all about making yourself better. And as a Pga professional, the benefits that I've gotten from CMAA have been so worthy for me in our industry as a whole. The people that I've met, the networking I've been able to do, the knowledge that I didn't have before is great. And it's helped me at every level in my Pga career. So, when people look at what's the advantage of a Pga and CMAA, I would say both. If you have the opportunity at your point in your career and you're in a position where if you're at a golf club specifically or a country club, if you can take advantage of both opportunities, you're going to be the best. And I will tell you that one of the things that I didn't realize at the time when I became a CMAA member back in 2006 was just the, as Lindsay had alluded to, the opportunities to meet other people and share ideas and get information, as we do with the PGA too. And I love it. I mean, it's not the Pentagon. It's very open and understanding when you need some help, whether it's, as Lindsay alluded to, you're looking for information, you're looking for some help, some best practices, whatever the case may be. You can pick up the phone, you can shoot an email to almost anybody in either association and realize that we're here to help each other. And through that network and through that, my connections with the CMAA, I've been very fortunate to have met and have so many wonderful friends in our industry. Yeah, I'm not done yet. I still have a long way to go and I have a lot to learn. So I'm closing in on my CCE very shortly here. So I'm excited about that. And, but yeah, I think anybody who wants to get involved in CMAA, I would encourage them, just like I would if someone was going through school and they had an opportunity to continue on with their MBA. Anything that you can do now, 5 years from now, and I don't care if you're 25 years old or 55 years old, it doesn't matter. I always say to anybody in our industry, if you quit learning, you quit trying. And so I would continue to always educate yourself. And in Lindsay's case, you look at her background, you heard what a wonderful career she's had to this point. She's not done yet. She's got a long way to go. In order to get to where she did, she kept on pushing the needle and educating herself. And that's what I did too. And that's what I will continue to do. So anybody who's listening, I would encourage you to, if you're not involved in CMAA, to get involved. It will only help your career in more ways than you ever could. And getting involved with PGA was the same thing too. It's these opportunities in life are ones you have to take advantage of. And I would encourage everybody to do so. As far as the CCM, I will say that it was the hardest test I ever had to take. And now it's a lot easier because you only have 6 years to put in time. When I started, and Lindsay, when you started too, that time frame, you had to be a member for 10 years prior to sitting for your CCM test. So it's gotten easier from the time perspective, which I think is beneficial for everybody involved. So I applaud the CMAA for doing that. And just like I applaud the PGA for streamlining and making some adjustments to the PGA education too, for fellow professionals working their way up through all the ranks, whether it's specialized, certified, and master professional. So I would encourage anybody to take the time to do it, and the benefits are great. So yeah, the CCM was was extremely hard. I will mention something that Lindsay also talked about. It's relative to what we have in Southern California, specifically for the Southern California PGA. The LAN meetings, the local area network meetings, are the equivalent of our chapter meetings. So it's like it'd be the equivalent of a San Diego chapter meeting, Desert chapter meeting, Metro chapter meeting, so on and so forth, Northern chapter, and the Inland Empire chapter. So the LAN meetings are very similar to those, with the concepts, the setup, education, networking, not necessarily local governments like we have our chapters, but again, I always take advantages to attend any LAN meetings that I can as well, because again, you never know the people that you'll meet and how they can help you along your career. I say to any person I meet in our industry today, that it's such a small industry that you think that meeting, I reverse that. And I would say meeting you will help me in so many different ways. And I mean that from out of my heart. So, Lindsay can probably attest to how many people she's met that she never thought that she would have an opportunity to. And then obviously being a lady leader in our industry is such a really cool thing. Has people asking her and coming to her for advice every single day. So yeah, it's exciting. And I'm very proud to wear my PGA badge and also my CCM badge.
And that's great. Thank you for that detailed answer. I have a quick question that's maybe relevant and maybe more may resonate with our audience in terms of the benefit of becoming a CCM. So you work for the career consultant for National PGA Association, and you see hundreds of resumes on your desk that goes, that's sent to you by people looking for advancement in their careers. So there's candidates with just PGA, there's candidates with Pga and CCM. What is the quantifiable difference by having the CCM and the Pga next to the name? Well,
I'll be honest with you. At this point, it's a complete game changer. I would add to that having a ton of education and credentials behind your name is always a plus. But in the world we live in today, that's a separator, but it's not going to guarantee you anything, because you still need to be the best you can be and work hard at what club you're at or what company you're at or whatever the case you can be to continue to separate yourselves from others in our industry to climb the ladder, because that task is harder now. And Lindsay can attest, I don't care if you're at a yacht club, a city club, a country club, finding talented people on every level is getting tougher and tougher, and that pool is getting smaller and smaller. So how appropriate is the premise of this webinar to talk about education and talk about, adding your value to what you do for your employer and future employers. It is a separator, Tom. Having Pga and CCM is a huge separator. I believe, I don't know the exact number, but I believe there's about 58 professionals in the country that have Pga CCM. And so it does matter, and it is a big separator. So it's the equivalent if you had CCM, MBA, you had MBA, CCM, Pga. Like I said, those types of things are big. And when I see those on resumes, for most employers, it's not guaranteed the job, but it's guaranteed to go to the top of the pile and get an interview 100%.
That's I didn't know there were so few Pga Professional with CCM. It's only 58, and as Lindsay mentioned earlier, there are, I think, 600 CCM throughout the nation, throughout the country?
I think 300, a little over 300.
Oh, 300. So it's Pga members who are CCM. It's about 20%, which is not such a big percentage, but that goes to show how that matters. The CCM designation matters when employers are looking for talent, especially in leadership positions. So that's very informative. Thank you. As a PGA associate or member currently, and who may be interested in becoming a member of CMAA and eventually CCM, do you have any advice, Ed, in terms of how to proceed with that decision-making process, and in terms of getting through the challenging process of becoming a CCM? Any sage advice for them?
Yeah, you know what, it's come down to employers embracing it now more than they ever have, to be honest with you. And I was at a club, one of my clubs that I was at didn't support that as part of the budget for the education for that years ago. And so, you know, I would encourage anybody who is an associate or coming up through the PGA program, working towards their PGA membership, or is a current PGA member who wants to get involved in CMAA, to talk to their supervisor, whatever level that may be, and and show them the value of joining the CMAA and working towards their CCM. Because again, nowadays more than ever, clubs don't want to lose valued employees. You know, the last thing we want is turnover. So in order to have less turnover, you've got valuable employees. And if you have an employee that wants to come to you, and as a past general manager, I had employees come to me and said, how can I get better? How can I climb up the ladder? When you have these types of opportunities, these education, and you work with your employer to show them the value of what you will get from that and the value you'll bring to the club or your yacht club or whatever the case may be, that's where the conversation starts, if they're not already supporting it. So if they're already supporting it, it's a much easier conversation to have and get involved. Tom, you're very supportive of it with your staff, and we need more professionals like you to branch out and add to their opportunities in education. It's not just, I mean, PGA education is phenomenal, but CMAA education is different. And when you look at the crossover of those two, they combine for just a wonderful opportunity to be the best you can be for your facility. So I would start with talking to anybody that you can about that. And if you know someone who is a CMA member, CCM member, I'm always open for a phone call too. Let me know. I'd be happy to call any of your employers and explain, as I would to any employer, to explain the value of Pga Professional. So, these are important conversations to have, because you're bettering yourself for your club and for the community and for your future. In a lot of cases, it's a no-brainer. So, I mean, it's all about money. And again, in order to keep and enhancing education for good employees, that's part of what employers have to do now, and more are doing it. So I'm very happy to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Ed. Lindsay, a quick question from the audience relating to costs. Obviously, there's costs involved in becoming a member or CCM. For the PGA, given my experience, the 2 years it took me to become a PGA member, the cost was around between $5,000 to $10,000, which is not insignificant from an associate perspective. What is the cost involved in becoming a CCM? If you just maybe give us a general feedback on the cost of becoming a CCM within the CMAA.
Sure. Okay. So first you become a member of CMAA, right? So that is, I think it's like, let's say, don't quote me exactly to the $25, but let's say it's $950. I think it's $950.
Less than $1,000.
Yeah, and then to be part of our chapter, it's less than $400. I think it's $375. So that's total for membership, and then it depends on how active you are for each year. So I budget when I do my personal education budget, and I'm very active, I budget about $10,000 a year. And that's me going to locally 2 conferences a year, then the national conference, and then an education a month. So that's how much my club and more, let's say it could be $10,000 to $12,000. It could be a little bit more actually. But let's say it's $10,000 to $12,000 that my club invests in me each year. So I stay sharp in the top of my game, so I could bring back, nuggets of industry knowledge to share with my board and my team. To be a CCM, you got to think about, okay, it's going to take six years now, and you're going to probably conference each year, and then you're going to a BMI. You want to work your way through the BMIs. BMIs are probably about $2,300, and unless you go to international, and I just paid $2,700. And then conference is about that too. So it's usually about $2,500. plus any room and board and travel. So like it was in San Diego this year, I got to drive down, and hotel rooms, anywhere you go, it seems to be about $250 a night. So you got to factor those things in. And if you're looking at a 6-year period, say it's going to be $6,000 times 6 years would be
$36,000.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's
how much is like, this is the masters of our industry, right? How much does a master's cost? 80,000. So it's 40,000, right?
Yeah, so that's why I think what Ed mentioned is so pertinent to have the leaders of your facility to support this education, because it's not inexpensive to become a CCM. So I think it's so important for the facilities to support this whole process. So I wanted to see if there's any questions out in the audience. Any questions from you guys? Amberlyn, Bob, Jason, John, for Lindsay or Ed?
I'd like to know what brought William and Jung on the call. Like, what are they interested in, and what kind of support are they looking for in the industry?
Yeah, sorry. So this is my very first Associate Townhall. But I'm definitely learning a lot of things here. Like, I've been thinking about, going back to school to get my MBA, but I've never heard, and I'm sorry, but of CCM and Cmaa. And it's definitely interesting meaning.
So what's your thoughts, William, right? And what's your current situation?
My timeline is I want to get through the Pga program within the next 2, 3, 4 years. But hearing that it takes 6 years to go through the Cmaa program, it's like you might as well start sooner than later. So weighing all my options here, and then just thinking about the MBA program as well.
Are you currently level 1 associate or level?
That's correct.
And you work for which facility?
I work for SCPGA.
Oh, okay. You work for Tom.
That's correct.
Who's on the call right now?
Yeah.
Tom, can you support the cost for CMA for William? No answer. I guess not.
I couldn't get I was a little nervous there trying to get back to the unmute button. But hi, William. We do cover the costs of education and association membership for our staff.
Oh, good. Excellent. So William, if I could just tell my quick connection with CMAA, I don't know if all of you know Rob Roosterhouse. He used to be the general manager at Sherwood. And I found out he was CCM. I didn't even know what that meant. And I was like, what is CCM? Because that's what he had on his signature and his email. And he told me about CMAA. And he connected me to Todd Hale, who's the general manager at San Diego Country Club. So I went to see him and asked a bunch of questions about CMAA and CCM. And that was 2020, before COVID, I think. So I became a CMAA member in 2019. So it's been about 2.5 years. I became a member of Pga in 2019. But at the same time, I learned that there's so much education they can learn from CMAA, which is, as Ed alluded to, different from Pga. It makes me a better professional. And the last 2.5 years, I've been trying to be active in participating in all the events, all the webinars. I just attended a conference in San Diego, World Conference. I'm going to go to BMI in LA this October. So I'm in my process of becoming a CCM. And I really believe that, as Ed mentioned earlier, if you want to really differentiate yourself, you could be one of 59, 60 PGA members who are both PGA and CCM. If you're from an employee's perspective, obviously that's going to make you top of the candidates for that job that you want. So it's so important for us to think about not only the PGA but also the CMAA and leverage both to become the best professional you can be, and pursue your career path and achieve great things. as a leader. So, well, I mean, if you want any, offline, talk to me about that. Please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to speak to you about it. I know it's great that you're thinking about the future in terms of your investment into education, in terms of becoming a PGA member, and in terms of becoming a CCM, and also getting an MBA. That's incredible that you have that vision of yourself. And we're here to help you if you need anything from us.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else? As Lindsay asked, why did you join this call? And any questions for Lindsay or Ed?
I see another lady out there. I'm going to call out Amberlyn. Is there anything I could support you with, being a female in the industry? I don't know what your role is, but.
Hi, Lindsay. Hey, Thompson and Ed. Thank you guys both for being on here and sharing your stories. Lindsay, thank you for creating waves in the industry as a fellow woman. It's very impactful and empowering to hear your story. And if you have any advice for other young women, I'd be happy to hear it, whether it's offline or on here. I have another fellow coordinator named Hannah Pacini, who's an associate and another aspiring young woman. So I'd be happy to give those quotes to her as well.
Yeah, excellent. Well, yeah, thanks for being on the webinar. What's your role? What's your position?
I used to actually be William Yang supervisor, but it just got changed. So now I'll be doing business and partner relations for the section office.
Excellent. Well, make sure you let's connect and we can keep in contact, and I'm happy to support you any way I can, and we can chat offline or have lunch. You can come up to the yacht club.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you very much.
Anybody, you're welcome. Not just because you're a lady, anybody can have lunch with me at the yacht club.
That was only to me. Only I was invited, no one else.
By the way, Lindsay, just for information, Amberlyn and we passed our playing ability test in 2018. We played together and we passed together.
Oh,
so
awesome.
We have a lot of connection between Amberlyn and myself.
Excellent. I'm gonna bring her out, bring her as a guest to one of our next events.
Yes, I think I definitely will do that. And she's also a member of the associate membership committee for the section, and she's going to be leading the inland chapter with a mentorship program. So I think she's very, very active and doing great things for us.
Super.
Tom, can I make another comment?
Sure, Ed.
So, we talk about, even as PGA professionals that are on the call or associates that are on the call, even if you never aspire to, or it's not part of what you're looking for in your future to become a certified professional or master professional, I would equate the same thing with the CMAA. If just because you join the CMAA doesn't have to mean you have to become a CCM member. Just joining the CMAA for the education and the opportunities, even if you have no intentions of becoming a CCM, that's okay too, because it's important to know that the education is there. And so taking advantage of that opportunity will help you greatly at your own business and as a person and as an industry professional. So there's many people that will watch this, that see this, that will never become master professionals, certified professionals, and that's okay. Same thing with the CMAA. If you don't become a CCM or CC, that's also okay. You're just doing what you can to better yourself and be a value to your employer and raise your value for future opportunities as well too. So, not saying you don't ever want to shoot for the stars, but it's okay if your goal is not to become a CCM member. That's okay too, because you're continuing to educate yourself. So
it's a great point, Ed. It makes a great point that there's so many educational opportunities even as a member without becoming a CCM. So don't be burdened by that 6-year CCM title. You can always become a member and just be involved and be educated as a CMAA member. Like the PGA, Lindsay, we have continuing education. We have specializations, certification, and master PGAs within the association. Ed is certified member in 6 different special areas, which is very rare in our association. Can you explain to us the continuous education within the CMAA, the CCE designation, and others that are available after you become a CCM?
Sure. So after your CCM, you work and you're still accruing. Well, you have to maintain your CCM. So you have, it's either 5 years or you have to maintain it with getting additional credits. Just saying you're active and you're still engaged and you're still learning and growing in the industry. And so, so you keep accruing points. And you just keep getting recertified because nobody wants to sit through that exam again. So everybody maintains their CCM. Make sure you stay a little active. But then you get to become honor society. You accrue so many points that you become honor society member. And then you can become a CCE, a certified club executive. And that's what Ed is working for right now. So you can talk through the process because I haven't even sat through that and done that because you have to be a mentor and have to have, you get to have time to spend with a mentee and dedicate yourself to that. So it's active giving back and making time for that. So I'll, send that over to Ed to answer. And then then the last thing is a master club manager. And I'm going to say there's 30 master club managers out of thousands of club managers, right? 300 CCMs, maybe 35 at most master club managers. And that's like getting your doctorate in club management. So back to you, Ed. Tell us about the CCE.
Yeah, so you're right, and the MCM is incredible. It's like getting your doctorate for sure. The CCE, as Lindsay alluded to, you have to have part of the process. You have to have mentees that will mentor underneath you and with you for a period of time. And I've been fortunate. I've got a number of mentees that I've been working with, both in both a lot of different sides of our industry. One is a food and beverage director. Another is a golf professional. Another is a general manager. I'm sorry, not a general manager, is a catering manager. And another one is a AGM. So these are different, and one is still a student actually. So there's 5. You only have to do 2, but I like helping people. So I didn't want to stop. So I just wanted to continue to do that. So it's been very rewarding. It sounds cliche, but I've learned so much from my mentees that have helped me with things that I do, decisions I make, and being a better person and a better professional. So I've been able to learn a great deal from my mentees, and that's helped me in my career too, give back to and help so many people that I'm fortunate enough to help now in my position in career services. So it's been great, and I'm looking forward to the future. And like I said, I don't want to say too many things about how great Lindsay is, but to be where she is, what she's done, while still volunteering, becoming a president, raising 2 beautiful daughters, and being a wonderful wife, that's not easy. So, especially as busy as we are in our industries today. So it just shows you that when you're determined to do something and you love it and you're passionate about it, you're able to do it. So if someone tells you can't accomplish something because you're too busy or there's not enough time or whatever, call Lindsay and then ask her how she does it, and she'll tell you. And I've seen her through some calls where she's juggling a whole bunch of things, but at the end of the day, it's worth every minute. So,
thanks, Ed. And one of Tom's, we're doing this Mindful You course together, mindful about being a mindful leader, and it's a 26-week course, and Tom's on it. And his partner is Crystal Thomas. She's our managing director for the Golden State chapter. And some things she's told me before when my plate's full, she says, well, get a bigger plate.
That's great. Any last minute questions from the audience for Lindsay and Ed? Going once, going twice?
No questions, but I just want to say thank you to you, Tom and Ed and Lindsay, for all your knowledge and expertise to share with us on this platform. I actually just jumped on this call so I can learn. So it was a pleasure being here. So.
Oh, thank you for your comments, John. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for joining the call today. Thanks everyone for joining the call today. I know you guys, everyone's busy with their lives, but taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend about an hour with us is really appreciated. We will continue to do this every month until I'm told not to do it. And I learn a lot from these calls on a monthly basis. Before we conclude the call, if I could just maybe have Lindsay and Ed last minute or any advice to our PGA associates and members, with CMAA or with anything else, any advice that you would like to provide for them?
I'll chime in and let the president go last. I will say that personally, I think that having the opportunity to be part of this is a real treat and a real pleasure, and I'm very honored. So thank you. And know that I think you could probably talk to anybody at any level through the PGA or through the CMAA, and we're here to help you. We're here to help each other. And I think that's what's so great about our industry. It's not working for the government. It's not the Pentagon. We want to share and we want to help each other. So know that that's what we're here to do. And that's what I'm here at any time. So thank you.
Sorry, Lindsay. John Park, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a question about SCPGA. This is course allowed for MSR possibility. So MSR. No, MSR.
Oh, MSR, yes. You would, if you could just send me an email, or I could just ask Jeff Johnson for you to receive the MSR credits.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Please send me an email. I will make sure that happens.
Email
tson@arrowwoodgolf.com.
Okay.
tson@arrowwoodgolf.com.
Can you text me chat box?
Okay, I'll put it right now. Lindsay, any last minute advice?
Well, I commend you all for being on the call. Thank you for sitting in through this hour. And, my advice is it's really important to invest in yourself. The world is so busy, and if we're not learning and moving forward, we're, sitting still and falling behind. So take the time and, be a sponge and keep learning and keep growing so you could be the best for your club or where you're at. And, continue with your professional development. I really encourage you, whatever platform it is. And, PGA is such a supportive organization, and I commend you for going through that and getting your PGA status. And I hope to see some of you at a club manager event coming up. So please say hello.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay, so much. Thank you, Ed, so much for your time today. And lastly, I think all of us want to be the best version of ourselves. If you want to be the best version of yourselves, I think education is a good way to do it. So think about CMAA and continue education with PGA as well. So thank you for your time today, and have a wonderful evening.
Email address, please.
I sent it already. I sent it. Oh, hold on.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Tom,
right now. Thank you.
take this roster, Tom, we take this roster and automatically do the credits.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll get the credit, John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.